world is dying, and the new world struggles to be born.
This is what being young and shredded taught me about married women. Now, huge disclaimer, not once in this video am I going to claim that this is all married women or women in general. We're using this information to give us more clarity and a more grounded understanding of what's actually happening in this world so you can move accordingly in your dating life. The first thing we notice is they do not care about a ring, right? They don't care about logic. Matter of fact, they don't care so much, they'll go out and wear the ring, almost with pride, almost like, look, I'm a married woman. Please try your best to make some bullshit happen. They don't give a shit. Most of the times they won't even take off the ring. And the reason the ring doesn't mean shit, like Will said, is because of logic. You cannot negotiate your way into attraction. You cannot set logical commitment standards and expect that attraction is just going to be a byproduct of that, okay? I almost think marriage and attraction are like very separate. One does not create the other. I've never seen once a guy get married and there's more attraction. Like you'll almost hear it, like the older guys, it's like, what's one piece of life advice? It's like, don't get married, kid. You know, it's almost a meme at this point. Like guys still get married. I'm not saying marriage is a bad thing, by the way. I'm not saying in this video, like never get married. Although logically, when you think about it, there's not too much benefits these days, and actual concept of marriage is pretty broken. Means that women don't actually act in accordance with what marriage should be.
Understand something about why this information doesn't reach most men. It isn't hidden. It exists in clinical literature, in the published research of some of the most rigorous psychologists working in human sexuality. But it doesn't circulate because it is deeply inconvenient. It contradicts nearly everything culture currently teaches men about how to treat women.
But for the most part, marriage actually creates unattraction for the husband. You'll hear it all the time. Older guys saying, yeah, well, she closed up shop after marriage. Yeah, after that, man, it all kind of went downhill because they feel they have got you. Because whether you commit to marriage and propose to her or even just ask her out, that commitment in general lowers your SMV. It quite literally lowers your value in her own head. And especially with marriage, she knows actually the disadvantage that you're put at these days in terms of doing that. And instantly what starts going on in her own head is, well, why me?
But I think what's going to happen is you're going to see more and more people trying to figure out how to do marriage in a post-marriage society. And again, I'm stealing that term from Aaron Clary. We live in a post-marriage society right now. It's just nobody's got the memo just yet. And so you'll see a lot of people who are sort of like, we need to return to tradition, you know, reject modernity and return to tradition. That all that is like, God, I wish that we could go back to the 20th century and have marriage like it was before. That's what it was. That's all it comes down to. But you see all these traditional conservatives and, you know, talking about, oh, well, if we just let the church take over marriage, everything would be all right. We tried that, but that's not even 20th century. That's like 12th century. Okay. We've done that before. We got that. We got the t-shirt, right? Thanks.
Because this is what I was saying about, like, the idea of marriage is kind of lost now because it used to actually kind of make sense in the woman's head. And, you know, I wasn't around 50, 60 years ago, so I can only make kind of educated assumptions here. But for the most part, they understood it because the guy wants someone to look after the kids, to look after the house and do all the feminine duties. Both parties are working now. There is no polarity. Like, both people do the same shit. So marriage kind of doesn't really have a point. It doesn't really actually have a place in many relationships. So she's kind of thinking, why does he want to lock me down so bad? Why does he want to marry me, right? He thinks that that's something that's going to make this relationship more stable or make the exit route more easy. If any of you guys that grew up with like separated parents, you would understand like the divorce process is not even just easy to do. It's actually advantageous for a lot of women to get divorced. There's a lot of incentive for them to do so. So it's kind of pointless. I've heard a ton of horror stories that, you know, women who got married were already planning on exiting before they even got married. So, you know, women are actually a lot more strategical than you think, and they do, you know, consciously or subconsciously make these decisions in their own head while this is happening. I heard some fucking horror stories, and it's just made me even more clear on like some dudes are just getting like finessed. And what you have to understand as well is if you're not marrying a virgin, which was actually the whole point of it if you're a Christian in the first place, Jesus Christ himself literally put that in fucking writing, so the whole point is disintegrated anyway. So unless you're doing that, she's going to compare you at all times to the guy that didn't have to make that commitment, that she knew for 48 seconds and banged in the toilet cubicle at a random club. So anytime you show that high level of interest, show so much interest to the point where you want to lock down with her for life, she's actually going to think, well, these other guys that I banged after not even knowing for a day, they didn't have to do any of that bullshit, so why does this guy have to? Sure, I'm going to take all the benefits that comes along with it, and I'm going to loop this back around to what we learned specifically. They will have their fun experience. They call it a hoe phase.
And I'm not a hoe. Let me preface this. I'm not a hoe.
Well, you're not a hoe
Not
for everyone.
A hoe for everyone.
Okay.
Then they think, shit, I'm getting old now, I better actually commit to a guy. And they can hold up that act for quite a while, 10 years, 20 years, maybe even 30 years. But they still have it at the back of their mind. And best believe, and I'm sorry, bro, if you're an older guy and you're like married and you think shit's tight, she is thinking about the guys she used to sleep with even back in her 20s. And she will still crave that to a small extent. And most women usually cave in. They usually cave into that. And she only ends up there because of this little thought that she had at the back of her head, like, that was such a fun time in my 20s. And I've been with this boring dude for 30, 40 years. He's just been getting fatter and fatter. He's not masculine. All he really does is just pull the money into the house and kind of look after the kids a little bit.
She wants the domestic to die so the erotic can breathe. Esther Perel is a therapist who has spent her career sitting across from couples who love each other and cannot stand to sleep together. Marriages where respect is high and desire is dead. Partnerships that function beautifully as domestic operations and fail catastrophically as erotic ones. Her conclusion is one of the most uncomfortable findings in modern relationship psychology. Love and desire do not operate on the same fuel. They are in many cases antagonists. What makes you a great partner, reliability, predictability, safety, is precisely what murders erotic tension.
We used to marry and had sex for the first time, but now we marry and we stop having sex with others. The fact is that monogamy had nothing to do with love.
The moment you become entirely known, entirely safe, entirely domestic, you become furniture. And nobody fantasizes about furniture. Women know this in their bones. They will never say it, because saying it sounds like a betrayal of the relationship they built. But inside every long-term partnership where the bedroom has gone cold, there is a woman grieving something she cannot name. She does not miss sex. She misses wanting.
Right? Her husband, mid-40s, mid-50s, how many of them are in shape? How many of them can paint a good picture in the bedroom, let's say? Just paint a good picture in general. When she was in her 20s, a lot of dudes in their 20s, you're not that much of a standout guy. Maybe these days, but 20, 30, 40 years ago, it wasn't uncommon for a guy to be in shape. It was almost expected. As a young guy, you should be in shape. You should paint a pretty good picture for her. So that's what she can remember in their head, right? Women are very visual. They're very visual people. So she is just remembering what the times were like back in her 20s. And she's just looking at this dude in front of her that's just not keeping it together. There's pretty notorious places around here, and there's probably maybe even like clubs and bars around your area too, where like the cougars go, the older women go, the married women go. It's shocking really, but like you just roam around these places and I'll tell you what, like if the roles were reversed, there would be a lot of cases flying around, but because it's older women and usually like, some younger guys, it's pretty much free range for these married women. It's like their happy place outside of home.
Monogamy used to be one person for life. Today, monogamy is one person at a time.
It just really reminds me of that Piers Morgan thing. When the husband goes away, Mr. Sud comes out to play. It's like, it's a scenario that happens so much more than you think. It's actually hilarious. And you almost got to feel bad for the husbands, but then you almost don't. Now, I know this video is about married women, but the same logic applies for engaged women and almost more so than married women. And this is the same reason that it happens at bachelor parties, because they want to get that shit over and done with. They know the life that they're signing up for with marriage, that it's going to be harder to go out and do these things, that they're going to have to take some bigger risks to go out and do these things. How are they going to explain to their husband that they're going out on girls' trips?
She told her therapist she wanted more romance. She told her best friend she needed someone who listened. She posted online about wanting a partner who respects her boundaries and communicates openly. She lied to all of them, including herself, not maliciously, instinctively, because the thing she actually craves lives in a part of her brain that language was never built to reach. And if she ever spoke it plainly in daylight to a man sitting across from her, she knows how it would sound. So she buries it, renames it, dresses it in softer words, but her body keeps the original file.
So it's never been easier to cheat, and it's never been more difficult to keep a secret.
The shit that they would say, the places they would invite me to, and the remarks they would make, meanwhile having a ring on their finger, some of them being engaged, some of them already been married for like a decade, really did shift my belief in female nature and like what truly happens out there. It almost shifts your faith too. It's like, is anyone from this generation gonna find a wife? Right? You decide what you want to do about these things. I know it's hard if you've been with a woman for so long, but if she disrespects you, if she does you wrong, or any of these things on this fucking list, you cannot have one-itis. You cannot. You cannot afford to. You cannot live years of your life in misery because of what a woman does, what female nature actually intends to do. Now, the next one is that for the most part, they will treat you better and give you a better sexual experience than their husband. And that's usually because the husband wasn't really the first option, because her first option rejected her, pumped and dumped her, or didn't actually show her that much interest where she would commit to marriage. Because once she's older and she's getting into marriage, for the most part, she has to kind of settle for second best, or the guy that will go as far to commit to her. Now, I'm not saying that's the only case. Obviously, there are outliers and everyone's got their own experience. But like I said, if you truly are her first option, she will give you experiences that she will not give her husband. What's not acceptable in the bedroom for him is totally acceptable for you. If she's ever written off anything in the bedroom or set any kind of standards for you, just know that those standards are for you. They're not universal, they're for you. And the last thing I'll say is I'm pretty confident I know exactly what they want for the most part. They want young, healthy, strong men. And this can be quite confusing for you because if you listen to what she will say, she will lead you astray. And before you know it, even if you weren't the first option, you're definitely her last option. And I've just seen tons of marriages where the woman just like flat out hates the husband, just resents them, is disgusted by them, like gets the ick from just hearing him breathe. I literally hear these stories. It's absolutely insane, but I can see how it happens because it's just pathetic in her eyes. It really is. Is there a point in marriage? Like, are you really going to like try your luck with some of these women? I don't know. Some guys seem to never learn their lesson. They get married and then remarry like 4 or 5 times. It's like, it's insanity at that point. And guys, I am not anti-family or anti-relationship, but at this stage, for myself personally, I'm anti-marriage because it just makes no fucking sense. I want a ton of kids, but putting marriage in the equation, what does that actually do?
The old world is dying, and the new world struggles to be born.